First of all, this is going to be relevant. Who's not going to be attending Korbon Pesach? Minastam, everybody's obligated to attend Korbon Pesach, but some people have exemptions, right? Some people are not allowed by Chazal to do it. Who? There's one example over here. It talks about a person who set aside this animal. This is his Korbon Pesach. He actually said it. This lamb is for Korbon Pesach. Then he died, so his son can't use it as Korbon Pesach. He's going to make it into a shlomim instead. However, if the son was one of the memunim on this, it means he's also registered with this Korbon Pesach, so he can use this Korbon Pesach. So the son will attend Korbon Pesach. Dad passed away, but the son will also use this animal for Korbon Pesach. He's the heir. But this is limited. The son can use the same animal. Why? Because the dad died after noon on the 14th of Nisan, when the chiyuv to bring the Korbon Pesach kicked in. If he died before noon, okay? Now the son can't participate in Korbon Pesach. He'll have to do Pesach Sheni. Now it says the son, just means same animal maybe, but maybe other people are going to use it. The other Memunim are going to use this animal. This fellow is not going to be using his father's animal for Korbon Pesach because he himself is not going to be attending Korbon Pesach because he's an onain. What is an onain? Onain, thank God you don't know what it is. An onain is someone who is recently bereaved. It's the stage before Avelus. He doesn't do the mitzvahs. He's not obligated to do many things because he's in aninut. He's supposed to be attending to the funeral and the burial. Until that point, he doesn't do mitzvahs. Sort of. It's a machlokes exactly, like Avelus itself. Okay? And how long the aninut lasts and which stage is aninut. The Rambam has it right there in what do you call it, in the Hilchos Avelus there. Okay? The point is, he said he shouldn't do Korbon Pesach. Okay? Well, told us this fellow is an onain. What is he talking about? The next parak it has, in the sixth parak, mentions. I should put this in as the sixth parak. So I'll change that over here. Let's say, Ha'onain ra'ui lechol Pesach la'erev. Really, the onain could eat Korbon Pesach at night, right? He's an onain by the day. Mipnei she'aninut laila midivreihem lo amidu divrehen v'davar zeh b'makom karev. Makes sense? He's an onain during the day. Really, he's just an onain the day the father died. He's not going to attend the sacrifice. He's not going to go to the Beis Mikdash then. But at night, he's already not an onain midoraisa. He's just an onain de rabbanon. Hey, when's the funeral going to be? Maybe they'll have to bury him sometime later. Ela shochatin alav. Okay? Instead, this onain, what do? What's the rule for the onain? They slaughter the Korbon Pesach on his behalf. V'tovel v'achar kach ochel. Then he goes to mikvah during the day, and at night he eats with everybody else. This dunk in the mikvah actually is like his leaving aninut, and now he has no hesach hadas. He stays pure and eats Korbon Pesach with everybody. Here's what the Rambam says. I understand the Allah he mentioned two prakim ago. The father died 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Erev Pesach. The son is an onain today. So he was already chayav to bring Korbon Pesach when his father died. So, of course, he could use this animal, like it said earlier. And because, technically speaking, the aninut will continue into the night, but he has an obligation to eat Korbon Pesach, Chazal waived the aninut that night and told him, eat Korbon Pesach. Because it's a very important mitzvah. If the father, or whoever it was, died before Chatzos, before the son was even obligated to bring Korbon Pesach, when's the obligation kick in? In the afternoon. Ela Yidachel Hasheni, so he gets pushed off to the second Pesach. Okay? So this, unfortunately, I wish everybody should be happy and healthy. Okay? Be very, very, should be a very successful Korban Pesach, this war should come to an end speedily with the destruction of Amalek and the rebuilding of Beis Hamikdash. It could happen, terrifying. And unfortunately, though, every year people pass away on the 14th of Nisan. Statistically speaking, people are born every day of the year. Okay, babies don't discriminate between Shabbos and Yom Kippur, night or day. No, about 1 out of every 7 people is born on Shabbos. Yeah, and about 50% of people are born at night. Okay, fine. But statistically speaking, throughout humanity and among Jews, about 1 out of every 7 people are born on Shabbos. Okay, and about half the people are born at night. By night, I mean between sunset and sunrise. 50%, yeah. Just like about 50% of people born are girls. Yeah? Yes. Women outnumber men 2 to 1 in this world? No, that's incorrect. Okay. A lot of Google apostrophes. Okay, there you go. That's halacha. So people have to know this halacha. There's going to be onanim, and this happened every year. Okay, depends. When did this person become bereaved? Okay, was it erev Pesach in the afternoon or erev Pesach in the morning? The nafkamina is if the death happened in the morning, so one not gonna be able to use that korban Pesach, right? I can't use that animal, and this fellow is not going to be eating korban Pesach at night. He's going to be in the Pesach Sheni category. But if the death occurred in the afternoon, this fellow will have a chance to eat Korban Pesach already that night, and they could even use the animal he inherited, okay, from his father. If the father is a fellow who's going to pass away. Okay, now it's going to here. Rama asked a question we saw a little bit about last year. Who is the Tameh who is pushed off the Pesach Sheni? Is it every single Tameh? And the answer is no. Okay, Rambam says, "Kol mi she'eno." There should be a space over here. Yachol le'achol Pesach b'leilei chamisha asar b'nei tumato. It's anybody who cannot eat Korban Pesach the night of the 15th because he's tamei. Kigon zavim v'zavot nidot yoldot v'al nidot. People who have a zav, some sort, a male zav, female zav, menstruate women, women who gave birth, or men who had intimate contact with nidos. They all have strong 7-day impurity, and there's a specific ritual that they have to do to get rid of that impurity, right? But nogea ben vela v'sheretz v'chayotzi bahen yom arba asar. If you're talking about someone who touched in the vela or a sheretz, or let's say even a balkari, right? What do they do on the 14th of Nisan? Hareza tovil. All they have to do is dunk in the mikvah today. The shochatin olav achar sheitbo, and then the korban pesach can be slaughtered on behalf after they have dunked in the mikvah. Ulaerev kisharif shimsho, and at night when the stars come out, right, 18 minutes after sunset, ochel pesach, then he can eat korban pesach. So those type of people are tamei. So he said a tamei person shouldn't be offering korban pesach, doesn't participate. Instead, he's going to wait for Pesach Sheni. We meant a tamei person who has no way to purify himself this very day. If he has an easy form of purification, and he'll be fully pure by the time nightfall happens, so he should get himself pure. By the way, this is, for Korban Pesach purposes, the vast majority of men you know. Last year, when Erev Pesach rolled around, most men were Tmei Mace, but that didn't really matter because Tumah Dechuya B'tzibur. So you're saying, okay, so these men, most of them are not Bo'alei Nidos, but there are quite a few people. Once a person's Bo'alei Nida, by the way, in his lifetime, he has this impurity on him. So no, there's no way to remove the impurity unless he does what he needs to do to get rid of it. Okay? So, it's not just being a simple Balkari. So yeah, there are people who didn't keep these halachas. Any person who, for whatever reason, was a Bo'al Nida has a little bit of a problem. But assuming, the kosher Jews who didn't do this, okay? By the way, even happened with the Shogate, he still has the Tumah on him, right? And if he wasn't the Zav, if you have Jews who kept the halachas until this point, the types of Tumah that they have, aside from the Tumas Mace, are also the types of Tumah that could be removed by a simple dunk in the mikveh, right? The vast majority, most people don't touch nevelas anymore. That used to be a more common thing, especially if you're working with animals, or touch shiratzim. Many of us have not come into contact with dead shiratzim. It used to be a normal thing you had to do, you know. So most Bali Keri, which is the vast majority of us, we've all been Bali Keri many times. So what happens? They just have to go to the mikveh, and then they're able to eat Korban Pesach at night, which is kind of sad because a lot of people were thinking, "Oh, I'm not pure enough. I can't offer Korban Pesach." The minimum you needed to do to eat Korban Pesach was just dunk in the mikveh erev Pesach before sunset. That's all you have to do. So yeah, being ready for Korban Pesach is very easy. This is a big machlokas Rambam and Ravid over here. Okay, God willing, people who will have access to the paraduma ashes. Yeah, most people are Tmei Mace, right? So how do you get out of Tmei Mace? What does it say? Parshas Parah. What does it say? This week's Parsha. What does it say? It says that in order to purify, a person has to count 7 days. So he counts day 1, day 2, day 3, he gets himself sprinkled with ashes of paraduma. Day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, gets sprinkled again. Now he's pure. Chazal say he should also go to the mikveh that day. And he's wearing his clothes at the same time. Those clothes that got sprinkled on, they also get purified. Because clothing is Mekabel Tumah, right? And it was Mekabel, it's the Tumas Mace, along with the wearer. So that's how he purifies his suit, right? Your suit's made of wool. It's going to have Tumas Mace on it. You want to wear your suit on Pesach when you eat Korban Pesach. You want to dress nicely. Or your linen kittel. That was Mekabel Tumah. So how do you purify it yourself? You make sure you're wearing it when the Kohen Gadol is sprinkling you with the ashes, right? That's on day 3, on day 7. Let's say day 7, okay? His day 7 is down to the wire. It's Erev Pesach now. He's getting sprinkled with the ashes of paraduma today, so he can eat Korban Pesach tonight. Even though he has gone to mikveh today, and they sprinkled the ashes of paraduma on him, he's now fit to eat kachim tonight. All right, he did the job. Ein shochatin alav. We still don't slaughter Korban Pesach on his behalf. Okay, Chazal said not to. Chazal said this fellow completes the purification on Erev Pesach, even if he's all done. He did all the processes. Now he's waiting for Hariv Shemesh. No slaughtering Korban Pesach for him. Ela nidche lePesach Sheni. He'll let him also wait for Pesach Sheni. Why? Well, that's exactly the case. Rambam says that's what happened to the men who asked Moshe Rabbeinu the question. Why there were some men who were contaminated by contact with the dead then, and they couldn't do the Korban Pesach that day. That day they couldn't do Korban Pesach. But if it had been tomorrow, they would have been ready already. According to tradition, this was their 7th day of purification. Their 7th day was on Erev Pesach. What happened? They had already done everything they needed to purify themselves, and now they wanted to know, can the Korban Pesach be slaughtered for them so that they can eat it tonight? And it was explained to them that no, just because they completed their ritual, because they're still waiting for Hariv Shemesh, what's going to happen? They will not participate in this Korban Pesach. They'll wait until Pesach Sheni, which was a gift that God gave to them because they asked a question. And the Rambam modifies this and says that it has to be the severe type of tumah. It's a type of tumah that would ruin the Nazir's Nazir count, right? The Nazir gets tumas mace, he has to shave his head, bring special korbanos, and start again. But not every tumah that the Nazir gets does that to him. There are certain contacts with Tumei Mace that wouldn't ruin the Nazir's count. You know that? Secondary contact, whatever, it's in Hilchos Nazir, the Rambam explains. Okay? If the Nazir walks over to the dead person and touches him, yeah, that Nazir has ruined his count. But not every contamination from Tumas Mace will ruin the count for the Nazir. Okay? Yeah, so we'll see that maybe next week. The Ravid disagrees with the Rambam big time here. Okay? This is one of those big hasagas of the Ravid, where quite a few agree with the Ravid over here. They understand the Gemara differently. Okay, what did the Rambam say? The Rambam basically said, "Afal pisha tovav v'huzalav." Even though this person, it's now the seventh day of purification, he got sprinkled with the ashes of the red cow already. He went to mikvah. Today is day 7. It's also the 14th of Nisan, so he should participate in Korbon Pesach. What's holding him back? And the Rambam says, no, sorry, that's the case that exactly the fellas in Parshas Baaloscha were in. They had also done everything they could. But Moshe Rabbeinu told them, you still can't participate in Korbon Pesach. So the Ravid says that the understanding of this whole case is actually not the way the Rambam has it. What does the Ravid say? Ein derech halacha olechet came. The way of the halacha doesn't go this way. Sharei Rav in the Gemara, Rav Avi Grossman. Shamar ein shulchatin v'zorkin al t'mei sheretz. Okay, mikan lamed. Rav's the one who said they didn't get a t'mei sheretz, not halacha. Rav says you have a t'mei sheretz. We just saw the halacha. T'mei sheretz goes to mikvah, and then he can participate in Korbon Pesach. He'll become pure when the sun sets. When the stars come out. Rav would say even that T'mei Sheretz shouldn't participate in Korbon Pesach. He learned it from here. Ihu, that's the rest of the Chachamim. Svirle, Shochatim v'Zarkin al Tvu Yom. The Chachamim say just like a T'mei Sheretz, once he's gone to mikvah on Erev Pesach and he's waiting for the day to come to an end so he can eat Korbon Pesach, he participates in Korbon Pesach. He's a Tvu Yom. The halacha is, according to the Chachamim, a Tavul Yom from T'mei Sheretz, or let's say Baal Keri, what does he do? He participates in Korbon Pesach. He can't go to the base of Mikdash today. He can't go into the Azara to participate with the rest of the whoever's his representative. But when it comes time to eat Korbon Pesach, he'll be qualified. Okay? Like we saw in Halacha Aleph. V'im Kain, Zeh, the Ravid says, this person also, who got sprinkled with the ashes of the red cow on day 7, already in the morning, let's say, he went to mikvah this morning, he's like a Tavul Yom from a T'mei Meis. Okay? V'rachmana dachye, and you're telling me that that God says he shouldn't do this? It doesn't make sense. If a T'mei Sheretz, who's a Tavul Yom, can participate in Korbon Pesach because he'll be able to eat it tonight, so too a T'mei Meis, who has completed his purification today, before they did the Korbon Pesach, should be allowed to participate in Korbon Pesach. Ela hai kra, that pasuk, Vahi Anashim, Asher Ayu Tmeim Lenefesh Adam, they couldn't do Korbon Pesach on that day. B'shelo Tavav Lo Yizah Dahainu T'mei Sheretz. They asked the question because they had yet to go to mikvah and they had yet to be sprinkled with the ashes of the red cow. Okay? Umase Kihava Hachihava. Here's how it happened. Sheshachatu v'zarku aleim kodem tevila v'azaya. They did the Korbon Pesach. The rest of the group had their Korbon Pesach slaughtered and the blood thrown on the altar. And these men had not yet sprinkled with the ash of the red cow or gone to mikvah. They're still completely T'mei Meis, even though it's day 7. So what happened? Savru sheyal elahem. They thought, well, the Korbon Pesach was already counted for them. The blood was thrown on their behalf. They just have to get sprinkled. How long does it take to get sprinkled, by the way? A few seconds. Okay? Sprinkled. How long does it take to dunk in the mikvah? A few minutes. They're ready. They just changed the order. They should have gotten sprinkled and dunked before the Korbon Pesach was offered. Then they would have been able to eat it. V'lo shalu ela achar zman shchita v'nidchu. They didn't ask Moshe Rabbeinu in time. Okay? They had already offered Korbon Pesach. Their group already did Korbon Pesach. And that's why these people were pushed off the Pesach Sheni. And by the way, the Ravid points out, V'akatuv me'id came. That's what the pasuk says. I know that this is the order of the way it happened. Why? Because it says, Anachnu T'meim L'nefesh Adam. We're still Tamei. Okay? By that, there's more. There's better pasuk. It says that Bnei Yisrael did the Pesach. Moshe Rabbeinu got this commandment to do Pesach in the desert a year after you see us Mitzrayim, and they did it. And that says that there were some men who couldn't. Mashma that they asked a question about this after everybody had done the Korbon Pesach ritual. Okay? If these men had gone, like Rambam says, they'd already dunked in the mikvah and already gotten sprinkled, why did they call themselves Tamei? Why do they call themselves Tameh? Okay? So the answer for the Rambam is what? The Rambam would say they called themselves Tameh because they had not yet had Ha'arev Shemesh. But that's difficult. So the Rambam, wait a minute, but you let other people who were waiting for Ha'arev Shemesh bring the Korbon. You let a Balkari who just went to mikvah do it. Said Balkari, if he went to mikvah, now he could participate in Korban Pesach. He'll be able to eat it tonight, so it's okay. He's not going to the base of mikvah today. He'll eat Korban Pesach tonight. That's a Tvul Yom. Basically, Balkari went to mikvah today is a Tvul Yom. You let the Tvul Yom participate in Korban Pesach. Why don't you let the equivalent of a Tvul Yom or Tumah base do it? Okay, Kashi on the Rambam. What is the halacha? As we say every single time we get one of these machlokas in, the Sanhedrin will decide. We're not required to follow the Rambam or the Ravid. Maybe there's a third opinion. Maybe there's a different way to understand it. By the way, a Sanhedrin doesn't look at the Gemara and have to decide according to the Gemara. Ever since the Gemara, a Chacham has to look at the Gemara and decide the halacha according to what it says in the Gemara. But a Sanhedrin is not bound to the Gemara. A Sanhedrin could technically use the Gemara as advice, but they could start again from the whole sugya, make different drushes. Entirely different approach, yeah. Yes, that's what Sanhedrin used to do. They didn't open up a Maseches Pesach and decide the halacha. Heter Meir Rabbanim. Heter Meir Rabbanim is not in the Talmud. Heter Meir Rabbanim is a legislation. If you're going to outlaw polygamy by Gzeira or by Cherem to Rabbeinu Gershom, the exception is Heter Meir Rabbanim. Kitnios is even on a lesser footing because no official beis din ever made a Gzeira and published it. The Adarabba, what most people think is the Cherem or the Isser, the Takana, Gzeira, is, like the Ramah and Chayadim point out, a minhag that is greatly misunderstood. They just say, we don't eat kitnios a certain way, but it's not treated like the Chefza Shel Isser like most people today now, like you're thinking. The way the Ramah and the Chayadim have it is very simply, we just don't eat our rice when it's wet. But if we turned it into matzah, we ate it in a way that there can't be chametz in there, because we're allowed to eat wheat. Wheat is worse. Wheat could become chametz. The definition of matzah is something that could become chametz. Can you eat wheat on Passover? How do you eat wheat on Passover according to Chazal? Roast the grains whole. Klayot. You even give those to kids before Pesach. Klayot can't become chametz because they've been roasted already. Or when you grind the wheat into flour, make sure to cook the flour quickly. Bake it quickly before it can rise. So that's not chametz, it's matzah. So the Ramah allows for making rice matzahs. Or popcorn. Yeah, rice matzahs. If you can make, the only question is, are you Yotzei Yidei Chova? The answer is, you can even discharge your obligation to eat matzah with a rice matzah if it has enough wheat flour in there that it tastes like wheat and not like rice. It could be 51% wheat, 49% rice, according to the Ramah. The question is, it's usser. Kitnios are not usser. It is a wrong consideration entirely to ever think that this ever was forbidden. It's not even muktzah. No. Meir Rabbanim cannot get rid of the gezerah of muktzah that exists on Yom Tov. No. A Sanhedrin could. Sanhedrin could do gezerahs. No previous Sanhedrin, right? Yeah. Sanhedrin decides what the halacha is. They might not be infallible. They could make a mistake. They can make a grave mistake. They could change their minds. But what they say is binding and, has God's approval. Okay. Yes, let's get more into Sanhedrin. Okay, so that's a bomb Ravid. Okay? The only question is, I guess it comes down to Maisa Kihava Hachihava. But the Rambam says, I'm basing what I'm saying on what? On the Maisa that's in the Torah. So a Tavul Yom, he could eat Korban Pesach because he's included. He's a Tavul Yom. Whereas the Tmei Meis who completed their rituals, they went to mikvah and they've been sprinkled the ashes of the red cow. They will be pure tonight. Zeres HaKosav is that the Afal Pikein, they cannot participate in Korban Pesach. That's the case. that happened in the desert. And Ravid says that's not the exact case. The story is different. Rambam got the story differently. So it's a machlokas how you understand the history. Okay. How about this one? There is a halacha that we don't do sprinkling on day 7. Right? This comes up in Yom Kippur also. Sorry, we don't do sprinkling on Shabbos. That is, if a person wants to purify himself from Tumas Mace, don't start your count on Sunday. Because you'll get sprinkled on Tuesday, then it'll come to get sprinkled on Shabbos, and you won't be able to. Right? So this is actually, the Rambam points out, the Rambam says, the person started to count on Sunday, so he'll get sprinkled on Tuesday, and instead of getting sprinkled on Shabbos, do it on day 8, on Sunday again. And the Rambam says, that don't work, because once you start a count, day 7 has to be day 5 from day 3. Okay? Whatever day 3 was, day 7 has to be 4 days later. You can't say, I'll just do it on day 8. If I miss the second sprinkling, I'll just do it any time in the future. In order to properly purify, you have to have the sprinklings dafka on day 3 and dafka on day 7. The only thing that doesn't matter is when do you start the count. If I got contaminated by a dead person today, I could start my count next week. No, but you have to start the count. The point is, you start the count whenever you want, but day 3 you get sprinkled, and day 7 is locked into day 3. Okay? You can't say, well, day 7 I'll push off indefinitely. The Ravid doesn't like this whole idea of the Rambam. We're going to read it. So the Rambam says, day 7 Shabbos, Ein Mazin Olav Ela Lamachar. So sprinkle him tomorrow, the day after. That would be Sunday, day 8. Tmenes. Only Tmenes. Okay? Let's say the 13th of Nisan is Shabbos. And it's the guy's day 7. He has to get sprinkled. So let him get sprinkled tomorrow, Sunday, the 14th of Nisan, which would be his day 8. Yidachel Yom Arba'asar, so he'll get sprinkled on day 14 of the month. Now it's day 8 of his count, and it's Erev Pesach, then Sunday. Umazin Alav Ein Shochatin Alav. They would sprinkle him, but then they can't offer Korbon Pesach for him. Why? Same case as before. Kemoshe Biarnu. El Yidachel Pesach Sheni. Because he's getting sprinkled today, this is like his day 7. He's similar to those Vayhi Nashim who were Tmeim Lefesh Adam on Erev Pesach. Anybody who's getting sprinkled on Erev Pesach will not eat Korbon Pesach tonight. That's even funnier. The Rambam is showing you real chumrah here. His day 7 was the 13th of Nisan. He didn't get sprinkled on 13th of Nisan because of Shabbos. By the way, why don't we sprinkle on Shabbos? Gezerah D'Rabbanan. Gezerah D'Rabbanan pushed him to get sprinkled on day 14 of Nisan, his day 8, and it was a Sunday. And what happened? Now they're going to tell him, congratulations, you're not Tzvei Meis, but you're still not going to participate in Korbon Pesach. And the Ravid not having any of this either. Yeah. The Ravid first says, in green, I put it over here. First of all, I already said that I disagree with the basic halacha. If he got sprinkled today, day 7, which is the 14th day of the month, and now he's basically waiting for Hari Shemesh, he can participate in Korbon Pesach. Secondly, this is a shibush. Okay? If the 7th day of his sprinkling is going to be on Shabbos, he's lost everything. Okay? You could only sprinkle when on day 3 and day 7. Okay? And day 7 has to be the 5th day from day 3. That is 4 days later. You don't have to count the exact day 3 and day 7 from when he left contact with the dead. He could start to count a year later. Okay? Like many people have to do. If you want to start the count as soon as possible, then you'll need 7 days. Like, day of the funeral is Sunday, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday gets sprinkled on Wednesday. That's the fastest you could do. We're going to stop here for now. We'll pick up with these halachas next time. Maybe live to see all of this become a practicality in our days. And speedily get ready for Korbon Pesach. We also see destruction of Israel's enemies. Shabbat Shalom and Yitzchak. Be well.